I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, the IDF destroys a dangerous tunnel in the Gaza Strip. Israel decides to stay neutral when it comes to a future Catalonian state. And it looks like this week's edition of Out Tel Aviv is getting a makeover in Ramallah. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. The IDF has just destroyed a Hamas terror tunnel stretching from under Gaza deep into Israeli territory. At least 7 Palestinians were killed, with 12 others injured, most of them members of the Islamic Jihad terror group. That includes a senior commander and 2 members of Hamas's military wing. Both Hamas and Fatah are accusing Israel of purposely trying to derail the ongoing Palestinian unity talks by taking military action against the terror tunnel. But Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has reaffirmed that Israel will not tolerate any security risks.
שלום לכם. האחריות הראשונה של כל ממשלה זה לדאוג לביטחון אזרחיה. אנחנו עושים את זה. מי מנסה לפגוע בנו, אנחנו פוגעים בו. אמרתי לכם כבר פעמים רבות שאנחנו מפתחים טכנולוגיה פורצת דרך לטפל באיום המנהרות. אנחנו מיישמים את זה. היום איתרנו מנהרה וגם השמדנו אותה. ונמשיך לעשות את זה. אנחנו רואים בחמאס אחראי לכל ניסיון לפגיעה בריבונות שיוצאת משטחו על ידי אנשים שכפופים לסמכותו. ואנחנו נמשיך להגן על גבולות ישראל.
The Prime Minister has just touted a secret breakthrough technology that led the army to discovering the tunnel, which is believed to have been dug by Hamas after the last Gaza war in 2014. The Islamic Jihad faction is now reportedly meeting to discuss a retaliation against the state of Israel for the attack. Though for now, most speculate that the act won't escalate into military action. The fierce anti-Israel discrimination at the judo tournament in Abu Dhabi is still fresh in everyone's minds, but it looks like the United Arab Emirates have just snubbed Israel yet again. Delegates from the Gulf state just opened the UNESCO conference with gifts for every single country on the panel, except for Israel, of course. Israel's UNESCO ambassador lamented the petty gesture and promised to bring this latest discrimination to the attention of the new council director. Treatment like this is unfortunately nothing new for Israel on the world stage, but especially from the United Arab Emirates. Last week at the Abu Dhabi Grand Slam, Israeli judokas were forbidden from displaying or wearing the Israeli flag. And after Israeli athletes took 4 bronze medals and the gold, the organizers refused to play Israel's national anthem at the awards ceremony. Emirati athletes even refused to shake their Israeli opponents' hands. The head of the Judo Federation issued an apology for the snub, but in light of this new UNESCO insult, clearly this treatment isn't going anywhere. The Catalonian vote for independence has fiercely divided the world, with countries like the United States backing Spain's rejection. But now Israel has broken with America and the European Union and will apparently neither support nor oppose the Catalonian independence. ILTV's Aaron Porras is here. And Aaron, what do you make of this?
It seems to me that Israel is playing wait-and-see politics, basically.
Explain this.
Basically, they're waiting to see. It sounds exactly as it sounds, to see what comes out of this referendum, what comes out of this vote. Because on the one hand, they don't want to anger Spain, which historically has not really been super pro-Israel in international forums, to go out of their way to support a Catalan that may never exist. And on the other hand, they don't want to go ahead and support Spain against Catalan, because if Catalan does become, anything, they want to start off on good relations with them. So again, they're just waiting to see what happens.
Well, let's get more than silence from your report, right?
This snub comes days after the Spanish government directly requested Israel to ally itself with Spain. But by taking a neutral path, many believe Israel is sending a clear message that the country hasn't forgotten decades of anti-Israel bias from the Spanish government. Spain is seen as perhaps the most critical European nation of Israeli policies, while the region of Catalonia has been historically pro-Israel. By refusing to align itself with Spain, however, Israel may find itself distanced diplomatically from its allies, the majority of whom have condemned the Catalonian cry for statehood. We are still waiting on the final confirmation from the Israeli government, but for now, it looks like this may be a price Israel is willing to pay.
New York City is getting a massive upgrade, all courtesy of Israel's Iron Dome. Sorry, New Yorkers, no, you're not getting the actual missile defense system itself, but 3 of the city's biggest power generators are now covered by a revolutionary new system developed directly from Israel's very own Iron Dome tech. Huge power outages back in 2012 and 2014 sent the New York Power Authority scouring the globe for solutions. The answer came from the same Israeli company behind the renowned Iron Dome, which is an air defense system that shields Israel from enemy rockets by literally blasting them out of the sky. Iron Dome technologies have now been formatted for a totally different purpose to predict and prevent power outages in large transformers. 3 NYC power generators have now been installed with the advanced Israeli tech, with plans in place for installation in 50 more all over the state. The breakthrough marks a major achievement for Israeli firms who just proved that military systems can be applied for commercial needs as well. And we all know that when Israeli scientists are at work, the sky's the limit. All right, it's hard to face, but it's true. One day, we're all going to kick the bucket. So are your affairs and assets in order? Well, apparently the answer to that question is more complicated than you might think. And here to help explain why is attorney Ofer Shapira, a managing partner at Shapira & Co.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
So we understand that you had some difficulties dealing with the assets in a pretty high-profile case recently. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I manage one of Israel's leading law firms in collection of debts, and we have a lot of experience in chasing debtors all over the world. We collected huge amounts of money in many countries, but in this case, the debtor passed away. So we had to investigate where the assets and his money were kept. And so we had to refer to Google to try to get access to his Google account
That does not
and get
like
some
an easy
information.
process.
Yeah, and get some information about what happened there. And then came the problem. Google refused to let us access to that Google
Right.
account.
Okay.
And we had to make a bit of a struggle to get that.
So interesting. So what steps did you then take to fix the problem from that point?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had to go to the court in Israel. We filed a motion to the bankruptcy court asking to get some access to that
Wow.
account. Well, in this case, what Google said was actually quite amazing, because we came from a positive point of view of helping the heirs and the debtors to collect and the creditors to get as much money as we can.
Yeah.
And Google appeared as like this third party that has its own independent opinion of not disclosing anything from that account. And what was more interesting is that Google said that the only court that it was subject to was the courts in California.
Right, where it's based.
Where
Google is
it's
based.
based, but we all keep
The world uses
our
Google,
things
yeah.
there in the Google Drive or
Right.
Google cases and Google and Gmail, and we don't think that someday
We're necessarily going to be dealing with an American court or this type of situation.
Right. None of us thinks that that he needs to go to.
So here's
American
my
court.
question for you: How do we protect ourselves from this type of situation in the future? You know, having had this experience, you now know that your clients clearly need to watch out for this.
In the more narrow sense, we got through the legal proceeding. We got some access to, so we could get some way through and get some information to help us. I think in the broader sense, legislators around the world will have to deal with that, because companies that work around the world have to keep the laws in the countries they work. And for ourselves, what?
Creating an e-will, I was going to say, is the other.
Right,
We're running out of time, so I want you to tell us a little bit.
Probably, if one wants to make sure that his intellectual assets are kept, it has to get an e-will, which means that a will saying exactly that he passes the access.
So I think it's definitely going to open eyes for many of our viewers. It opened my own eyes. Thank you so much.
Cool, thanks.
All right, today marks the 100-year anniversary of the Battle of Beersheba, the bloody clash where Australian and New Zealand soldiers liberated the desert city from the Ottomans. Leaders from both countries are here right now in Israel to commemorate the centennial and observe a reenactment of one of the largest cavalry battles in human history. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull and New Zealand Governor General Dame Patsy Reddy have just laid wreaths at Beersheba's World War I memorial site with the Israeli Prime Minister. Even 100 years later, this bloody fight remains sharp in the minds of all three countries.
Their feats will never be forgotten. Their memory will never fade. The tradition of man and horse is part of us. It's part of Australia. It always will be. This was the last great cavalry charge in history.
The victory at the Battle of Beersheba marked a turning point in Middle East history and began the unraveling of the Ottomans' 400-year-long rule of the region.
Exactly 100 years ago, brave Anzac soldiers liberated Beersheba for the sons and daughters of Abraham and opened the gateway for the Jewish people to re-enter the stage of history. The heroism of your fallen men will never be forgotten.
Descendants of the soldiers from Australia and New Zealand's former army are now leading a full reenactment of the infamous battle, complete with World War I-era costumes, replica weapons, and even some horses. If you work internationally and are sick of the fees and red tape associated with overseas bank transfers, then listen up. Joining me in the studio now is Johnny Steele, the Vice President of Marketing at Payoneer. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So tell us, what is Payoneer?
So Payoneer is the world's leading cross-border B2B payments platform. What that means in simple language is that any business of any size, whether an individual freelancer or a mid-sized business or an enterprise company like Amazon or Airbnb, can use us to make payments or receive payments between countries, between businesses.
Well, I could use some of this help, myself. I'm not a business, but tell us a little bit about how it works and kind of who it applies to. Do you help individuals as well with these?
We help individual freelancers, and there are millions of freelancers around the world, the United States, Asia, Europe, even in Israel, there are many, many freelancers. They could be a graphic designer, they could be a translator, they could be a developer, and we provide them with the tools in order to be able to expand their business by being able to connect with the businesses they work with, so they can simply send them a payment request, receive a payment online, without paying the crazy fees that would typically be charged.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to ask you about. You avoid bank fees and taxes. Tell us kind of what money are you saving through Payoneer?
So the biggest saving that we can provide is the ability as a small business or even that individual freelancer to go online, get a Payoneer account for free, and basically have access to enterprise-grade treasury capabilities. That means the equivalent of suddenly having a bank account number in the US, in the UK, in Europe, in Japan, and China, many more currencies, which means that from that point onwards, the transfers and the payments that they start doing with their clients and customers worldwide are effectively local transfers. So you've eliminated those cross-border high charges that the banks love to charge.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, this is a big deal, and I'm sure you have a lot of clients already. Payoneer is a big company at this point, no?
So we just passed 1,000 employees worldwide.
Wow.
The company started out in Israel. Now it's a truly global company with offices all over the world. In fact, next week I'll be in India and Hong Kong, meeting with our customers and meeting with our teams there. So it's really quite an exciting place to be able to empower those entrepreneurs all around the world to be able to expand their business.
Yeah, and connect with one another, right? Well, this is amazing. All right, so for those of our viewers who are interested in getting in touch with Payoneer, how can they do that?
It's really simple. You just need to go to Payoneer.com. There's a free account that you can sign up for. That gives you all of these capabilities as soon as you've been approved. And for bigger businesses, the likes of those international marketplaces, such as Airbnb or Fiverr, you can come along, see what we can do and help you to make payments around the world, reduce your costs, and expand your business.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Johnny Steele, and telling us all about this.
Thank you.
All right. Time Out Tel Aviv is one of Israel's biggest fashion magazines, revealing the hippest trends in Tel Aviv to readers all over the world. But this week, the editors printed a special edition and decided to temporarily rebrand it as Time Out Ramallah. Hot off the presses, the limited run switches the usual Tel Aviv narrative and gives Palestinian journalists the ink to talk about life in Ramallah. 7 Palestinian reporters and photographers leaped at the chance to have their stories heard and for their words to be published internationally in English, Hebrew, and Arabic.
As Palestinians, we don't always share our stories. And having this kind of thing in Ramallah and like a way, an approach to share our stories and experiences to the whole world, to hear them and to ourselves, is something encouraging.
70,000 copies of Time Out Ramallah have already circulated in Israel, giving many Israelis their first ever real understanding of life behind the separation barrier.
Me personally, I would like to know more about the Arab world. The Arab world is very interesting. Ramallah in particular is something that is very close but still yet very far in terms of getting there, and I'm quite intrigued, and I would like to learn more about their nightlife, about their, how lives in general in Ramallah and other Palestinian cities.
While some of the articles are a bit heavier than the magazine's typical fashion tips, like a Gazan story about living with less than 6 hours of electricity a day, others may offer Israelis some common ground, like the story of the first ever Palestinian food truck operated by reformed prison inmates. The political divide makes collaborations like this a difficult and rare feat, but hopefully the experiment leads to even more. Israel has just opened a brand new brain center in the heart of Jerusalem, one that offers critical and cutting-edge treatment for all kinds of neurological disorders. The complexities of certain brain procedures make neuroscientists and surgeons something of a rarity in Israel, which is why just days after opening, the new clinic is already working at full capacity. Nearly 170 operations have already been successfully performed at the Brain Center, which has also served nearly 1,500 stroke patients. Time is of the essence when it comes to strokes, making this brain center critical, especially given that it's only the second of its kind in Jerusalem. The clinic also offers advanced neurological surgeries you can't get anywhere else in the country, including the insertion of catheters into the brain, a procedure that only 12 Israeli doctors are licensed to perform. Government efforts are now underway to expand the clinic even further, with 21 beds scheduled for a new private wing shortly. There's still a lot scientists don't know about the brain, making disorders like epilepsy, Parkinson's, dementia, and brain infection difficult to treat. But thankfully, the government's just given the country a critical new gift in the fight for public health. In case you haven't noticed, winter is here, and if you were hoping for beautiful snowy-capped mountains as opposed to the rain that we're actually getting, don't worry. Co-founder and CEO of WeSki, Yotam Idan, is here to help us out. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, so I love skiing. Tell us about WeSki. What is it and how does it work?
Yeah, so WeSki is a brand new website we developed that enables groups to tailor their complete ski vacations, from flights, transportation, to the ski pass and everything in a package. And they can buy it with their friends in a very simple and easy way on the internet.
And is it only here in Israel, or is this skiing trips abroad as well?
So we launched a month ago in the UK, now in Israel as well, and we plan to expand to other places.
I bet people don't even know that they're skiing here in Israel, right?
There is just a small mountain, but
it's a mountain, and we can go and ski there.
We're still proud with it.
I know, we should be proud of our little ski mountain here. So interesting. So how did you come up with this idea? It's a very niche startup.
So that's a problem me and my friends were facing for many years. Organizing ski trips is very complex because all of the elements and your friend's opinion and a process that takes a long time. We decided to do it in one place, in one website that's connecting all of the elements in a very simple way. And just a few clicks, in 5 minutes, you can build your own package, buy it with your friends, each one pays on those parts.
Wow, that's really interesting. And so you said right now that you're operating in the United Kingdom and in Israel. Are there any other locations around the world? Are you looking towards working on that?
Yeah, so for now we are sending people to the French Alps. We're going to expand to Austria and Italy this year already.
Very cool.
And next year is European countries, and eventually also
Well,
Canada
yeah, I mean,
and the
there's so
US.
much good skiing in Europe
There's
as
a
well,
lot.
and especially for Israelis who are here, it's not that far away. So here's my question for you. Who are your main clients? Are they coming from Israel?
Yeah, so we have clients from Israel, we have clients from the UK.
Yeah.
They are flying to French resort like Val Thorens, like Teens, the biggest one. And of course, as I said, we're gonna expand to also like Eastern countries in Europe, for Bulgaria, where there's more cheaper packages and more for beginners, let's say.
Well, I mean, I think this is something really, really cool that you guys have created. I think you're also breaking the taboo that Israelis don't know how to ski or don't know anything about skiing, because they do. Like you said, we have a little mountain here, and people actually travel abroad to take part in this sport. And also, does this include snowboarding?
Of course. So when I'm saying skiing, of course, we are
every
mentioning
mountain.
snowboarding as well, and it's just the name of it. But yeah,
Very
definitely.
cool.
Sure.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
All right, 25,000 runners are about to participate in Tel Aviv's annual night run, an exciting overnight 10K that's fun for everyone involved, except, of course, for the car drivers. Well, Out TV's Emmanuel Kadosh has the scoop on this year's event.
Hi, Natasha. Well, yes, you've pretty much said it all. The 2017 Tel Aviv Night Run is happening tonight. The event starts at 8:30 and takes you all across the city. You pass by Dizengoff Center, Habima Square, and you make your way all the way back to Parc Hayarkon for some more exciting activities.
That sounds amazing. So tell me the truth. Are you going to be running?
All right, that was almost funny, but I'm more of a cheerleader than a runner. I know maybe 50 people who are actually participating and have participated in the run almost every year since they moved to Tel Aviv. Every year we get spammed with pictures from this event. Everyone looks like they're having the best time running all those kilometers. So maybe next year I'll participate. What about you?
Well, I mean, first of all, we probably have a bunch of photos where we can see Emmanuel like cheering on the side,
100%.
right? So guys, look on your Facebook feed and see if you can find her.
Definitely.
Next year, I don't know, maybe I'll take your advice and maybe I'll go and run, but let's check out your report to see if it's really worth it.
Yeah. What better way to ring in November to celebrate Halloween and to get a little exercise on the way than the Tel Aviv Night Run? We're here right now at the starting point of the run in Parc Hayarkon, and right behind us, they're getting everything ready, starting preparations for the run in a few hours. This is the 10th annual run in the city that never sleeps, and you can be sure that no one's going to be sleeping tonight. Runners will gather at the park at 8:30 to start getting ready. People participating in the run receive race kits, including race shirts, a race bib number, and a timing chip. But who knows? Tonight's Halloween. Maybe we'll see some runners in costume. 25,000 people are expected to participate in this year's run, and tens of thousands of people joining around, cheering them on, who said, maybe next year. Judging by the way I'm dressed, I'm clearly part of that group that decided to take this year off. But don't worry if you're in that group with me, because this year's run has a lot more in store. Most of the major roads have been closed for the 10-kilometer run, but as you know, there's no party like a Tel Aviv party. So this night run is not your typical one. Runners will pass by live music, performers, and at the end, an after party. For all those who still aren't convinced to run, listen up. A new study by Israel's Ariel University was just released, stating that running makes you happier, generates a greater sense of belonging, and in turn reduces feelings of isolation. So for all of you runners out there, good luck tonight. And for all of you cheerleaders like me, keep in mind for next year that running might change your mood. So hey, maybe it's worth a try.
Enroll in eTeacher's online Hebrew courses and quickly discover that it creates the deepest connection to Israel that you could ever imagine.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. I don't know about you, but my favorite part of winter is the skiing. So today's word is liglosh, which means both to slide, ski, and surf in Hebrew. Now, you're probably wondering why there would be one word to refer to all of these activities. Well, liglosh really means to slide, whether that's on skis, snowboards, or surfboards. When you're skiing, it's a way to liglosh across the slopes, and when you surf, it's a chance to liglosh across the ocean. I know it's a bit strange that this one verb is used to describe so many fun sports, but at least we taught 3 words in one. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast on that note. Tonight will be partly cloudy with local showers scattered across central and northern Israel. The low will be around 64 or 18 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect more clouds and local rains, but with a high of 77 or 25 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.52 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.